Good evening, and welcome to BackChat. I'm your host, Temba Madima. And tonight we've got a special guest. We're speaking to a legend, the legendary Zola-Budd. She'll be joining us today. So thanks to everybody who's joining. I think tonight is going to be a very interesting conversation. Welcome to each and every one of you that are here. And I can imagine how excited you guys must be because I'm super excited about this one. I mean, Zola-Budd Pieterse is a legend, and we're gonna get her connected now, and then we're gonna get this conversation going. So just give her a moment to log on. Good evening and welcome to BackChat. I'm your host Temba Madima, and we'll be talking all things motivation, athletics, life. We'll be chatting to the legendary Zola-Budd. She's just connecting now, and then we're gonna get going. So make sure, please send your questions. If you have any questions that you want us to share with her, do send them, and then we're gonna get that going. So it's just a chat where we talk athletics, motivation, life, and all things track and field, cross country, running. Henry Makane, I see you. Yvonne, Chris, I see Zola-Budd is connecting now. So please make sure to send us your questions, and we're gonna have a very good conversation today. I'm gonna send an invite myself. Welcome, Van Skalkvik. I see you. Liam Michaels, Mpo, James Siliga. How you doing? Chris Cisse, West School, Durbanville, Fanseo, Kempis, we see you. Gerard, we're currently just waiting for Zola-Budd to go live with us, and then we're gonna get the conversation going. I hope you guys are doing well. Athletic Ferramo, SK, as everybody is joining. Remember, guys, make sure to send your questions. If you have any questions, send them so we can get the questions going. She's just trying to connect. I don't know if it's a Wi-Fi connection, but she's almost live. Good evening.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well, and you?
Fine, thank you. No problem. Thank you. It's going well.
That's good. It's such an honor to have you on BackChat. I mean, I think there's a lot of people that are excited to hear what we're going to be talking about. But it's just, we just decided, it's very important that we have these chats with legendary athletes, upcoming athletes, as well as, all those who love athletics and running. And if they love athletics and running, they'll definitely love the legendary Zola-Budd Pieterse. So thanks a lot for your time. So what I'm going to do, before we get everything going, I just want to find out, how are you doing? How are things in America? You're currently in America, right?
Yes, I'm currently in Myrtle Beach in South Carolina.
All right. And how are things going with the whole COVID situation? That side, are you back to coaching? Is life back to normal yet?
I think life is more or less back to normal here. Everybody, I think, just forgot about the COVID-19. It's a huge tourist town, so everybody's traveling here. Although there's more cases of COVID-19, it's just everybody just keeps on going normally. So yeah, we haven't even reached our peak yet. Yeah, so I just try and stay away from all the touristy places. Just stay at home.
No, that's a wise move. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a quick introduction, and I'm glad to see you said you're threatening to wear your pajamas. I'm glad you did not.
No,
All right. So introducing, ladies and gentlemen, a legend in South Africa. I was so excited the whole weekend. I mean, I was calling my family members and just everybody who knows Zola-Budd, knows what you play such a significant role in South African athletics, in the culture, and yeah. So I was really excited. So I'm gonna do an introduction to start off with. So, ladies and gentlemen, Zola-Budd Pieterse, the former 5,000 meter world record holder, 2 times World Cross Country Championships gold medalist, British record holder in the mile with a time of 4:17.57, two-time Olympian, one time for Great Britain and the other time for South African. Correct me if I'm wrong. UK and Commonwealth record holder in the 1,500, in the mile, 3,000 and the 5,000. Junior world record holder in the mile and 3,000. Ladies and gentlemen, Zola-Budd Pieterse. Wow, I mean, that CV alone just says how much you've achieved in your time running, and obviously you continue to give back now as a coach.
Yeah, I think it's, for me, it's always about giving back and being a friend to people, and not running has been so good to me. I mean, I've had some bad experiences running, but running itself has always been so good to me, and I've really survived a lot of things because of running. So, and I think that's more or less what I want to teach other athletes as well.
Absolutely. We're going to get into other questions as well. But again, this is just a chat, you know, it's going to be a bit informal. I'm not a journalist. We're just going to be chatting. So what we usually do as tradition on BackChat, we first of all, we have to play a game called 30 seconds.
Oh my word, yeah.
And how the game works is, you've got 30 seconds, I've got my stopwatch over here, to tell me as much things as possible that you would have in your competition bag or training bag. Coming to you in 3, 2, 1, let's go.
No spikes, of course. Yeah, for my nutrition is really important, so I make sure that I have enough stuff to eat and to drink, and then always warm to wear because I'm always cold, and then always a pillow. I love sleeping, so I want to sleep where. Music, yeah, maybe some music. That's about it. I'm a light traveler, and then of course books. I always take books where I like to read. Yeah. All
right. And that is your time. You've named 6 things. Not bad. You don't have the lowest. I think Reinhard van Rensburg sits at 4. So you're still fine.
I think simplicity is more important. So yeah, keep life simple, and then there's less to go wrong. Yeah.
That's true. And obviously, you said no spikes. Everybody knows, obviously, Zola-Budd is a barefoot champion. You prefer to run barefoot. What's the story behind that? Is it just more comfortable? I know you're from Bloom, so there's something to do with that.
Yeah, I think it's just the way we grew up, because even when Mike went to school in Bloemfontein, they still were able to go to school barefoot. So I think it's just a way of life. Initially, when I started running, I didn't have shoes. So I just ran barefoot, and it was only about after 6 or 7 months of training that I actually got a pair of shoes when we started doing longer sessions on the road. So yeah, it was just because all my friends were, I mean, I was the same as all my friends. So yeah, it was just accepted that it's fine to run barefoot. There's nothing wrong with it.
And taking it into competition, was there never a time where you thought, all right, listen, Zola-Budd, you've become a professional now. People want to give you shoes, and you do have shoes. What made you still choose to run barefoot at that time?
I think even when I was running professionally, and I think I could have gotten more sponsorship if I actually ran with shoes, it was just the way I ran felt so much easier running barefoot. But then again, I mean, most of my work I did on the road, so I ran with shoes on the road. It's not that I ran barefoot on the road. It was more just on the track and the grass. But I just felt so much lighter and faster running barefoot than running with shoes. And even now as well, I still try and go out and do some barefoot runs on the grass. And there's an area close by us where there's huge grass fields. So I just love going out there and just running barefoot. It's a very freeing experience. Yeah.
Absolutely. It sounds very interesting. And I think most of us started off barefoot for a long time. But it almost felt like the culture said, all right, barefoot running is for high school, and then you need to cap it, and then once you turn pro, you need to put on some shoes. But it's always motivating, because again, it broke the boundary again to say, like, whether you have shoes or don't have shoes, there's no excuse, you know. As long as you got fast feet, let's go.
Yeah, there's no excuse. You don't need a lot of equipment to become a good runner and to enjoy running. So literally you just need yourself to be able and motivation to do it. Yeah, I think that's most important. Yeah.
That's amazing. Like when I just think of the culture that I was telling you about, is when I was growing up, I would be at school, and at high school level, there was a song that we always sang a song. There was a song about Zola-Budd we sang.
Yeah,
It used to
Brenda
go.
Fassie. Yeah. Yeah.
There's the Brenda Fassie one. That's the one I played when I opened the video, and then there was the one where we just sang, "I want to be like Zola." We didn't even know who Zola Bud was at that time, but
Yeah.
your name was just buzzing everywhere, you know, i- at school level, and obviously there's the famous songs and so on. How did you receive that type of reception from South Africans at that time?
Well, yeah, I was honored. I mean, to have that kind of support from people in South Africa, because I was going through a tough time back in England, with everything
Yeah.
that's been, and to have that support from people in South Africa, made it, I don't know, made it easier, but it felt like I belonged somewhere. So, and that was really important to me.
Absolutely. I mean, that's why I'm so honored for you to actually bless us with your presence, because, like I said, we grew up just knowing your name. You were an icon. I see Athletic for Amos says, "What a legend, a world icon," and also coming to that. Obviously, at the age of 17, you broke your first you broke a first world record. Obviously, at that time it was still you were still under behind, what is it, it was not recognized because you were running during the apartheid regime, so
Yes,
it was
yeah.
not recognized. So how does that feel? 17 years old, you run the fastest time ever, and how do you receive that? I mean, I'm just 17 years old, to be a world record holder is insane.
I think a lot of the thing is when you're that age, you don't really realize what's happening to you, which is in a way is good.
Yes.
For me, it was just I ran a fast time. I didn't really realize that it was a world record, and the fact that I ran the time, that was good enough for me. I didn't really want it to be recognized and have it as a world record or anything like that. I knew I could run that fast, and that was what I wanted.
It's amazing. So obviously, I mean, world record, whether it's recognized or it's a personal feeling, um what type of mindset do you have to be able to tap into whatever resources in your body and in your mind to be able to break the world record? And obviously the following year you went on to break it officially. um what type of mindset, what motivated you to run that fast at such a young age? What was your motivation?
I think there's quite a few, but I think the biggest one will probably be anger, because I was so angry at the world. I mean, what people am. So that helped to get rid of a lot of the anger in me, and a lot of the aggression, and I think that's probably the biggest drive force, because if I go out training, um, the aggression, I put all my aggression into my running, and the pain I felt, the physical pain, was nothing to what I was feeling inside of me. So running was really that outlet for me, because I don't think I would have done it if I hadn't had that anger as a drive. Definitely not.
Wow. Well, that's a good way. I mean, if I wish I could use all my anger to run world records as well. Uh, it's definitely a good way to use the anger.
Yeah.
And obviously, I mean, your story is it's a remarkable story. And I don't know, there has to be a movie that has to be done about this, because it's just it's so much to take in. But just looking into world records, obviously, and the following year you had to obviously go to the UK,
Yeah.
where
Um,
you represented them.
yes. Yeah. Because at that time there wasn't any possibility that South Africa would ever be allowed to run internationally again. And then the Daily Mail newspaper came over and they said, oh, because of my grandfather being English, I could
Ah,
get a British passport. And And they made it sound so easy, like you're going to go over and run and there won't be any political problems. Or, yeah. And so I was literally thrown into that political situation in England. Yes, it was a tough time. I don't think a lot of people realize how tough it was, but it was a really a tough time for me because I was in a lot of pressure to run well, and then the expectations athletically of me as well. So I think it took a bit. I lost some of my fierceness over there. I think I definitely did.
I mean, you know, when I just think about it, I was just thinking about it today, that, you know, the amazing thing about your story is that, you know, everybody always expects a political figure, or they expect anybody who is super talented or gifted in any way to speak out about whatever situation is happening at the time. But what I love about your story is that your feat, you know, you running well was a political statement, in a way that you were really accepted by the culture of Africans in South Africa, even during 1984, 1985, during bad times. But also, you know, your feat and you running fast was what the world needed. You know, we didn't need your voice as much as we needed your feet to be fast, you know?
Yeah, I never, yeah. I mean, I'm a follower of politics. I'm really interested in politics. But at that time, I refused to make any statement about politics and what's happening then. First of all, because I think when I got to England, and people don't believe me, when I got to England and one of my first track races, there was this people demonstrating, and they had this sign that said "Free Nelson Mandela." And I turned to my coach and I asked, "Who is this Nelson Mandela?" I didn't know, because you remember he was jailed before I was born, and then he was mentioned in the newspaper. He was never mentioned in the press, so I had no idea what was happening in my own country until I went to England, and it was a big shock to me. That's the first thing, and then also I was so unhappy in England because I didn't enjoy the weather. I didn't enjoy staying there and all the pressures, and I wanted to come back to South Africa. And at that time, I strongly believe that if I had said anything, I wouldn't have been allowed to come back to South Africa. So I just kept quiet. I mean, I wasn't the bravest person, and I wasn't the it wasn't that I didn't want to say anything, but I was too scared at that time. And it took me a long time to really realize, well, what happened and why I didn't say anything. And then one day, I mean, it was just my fear. I was just so scared of saying anything and doing anything and not be allowed back to South Africa, because that happened to a lot of people who, and they spoke up against the government. They wouldn't be allowed back into the government then, into South Africa then at that time.
I mean, you were also young. Let's also not let's not forget that as well, you know. And like you said, it's so much pressure. I'm gonna take questions as well. So please continue to send your questions, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna take a few questions as we go as well, and yeah, we'll get. I'm gonna take the first question here. Sakile 5458 says, "What's the secret behind breaking a record?" Obviously, let's take away the earlier records, but there was times where, obviously, when you were in the UK again, you were able to break records again, which means you knew how to break them. So what is your secret in to break records?
Well, it's consistency. I would say just be consistent in your training, and most of the work and the hard work is done when there's no one around to see you and there's no place to shine and to show off. So you have to really be consistent and dedicated and do the work, and just trust the process. And like for me, I never overtly trained to break a world record or overtly trained to. I would always set goals that I would think I can achieve, like time I would like to run. The records just happened by itself. So I think at the end of the day, it's just being consistent and be patient, because you never know. A breakthrough happens so quickly and suddenly. You never know when it's going to happen.
Absolutely. I mean, consistency, as you said, and trust the process. That's one of the, I know it's one of the phrases that I totally believe in. And I think the more people or athletes, you know, trust in the process, it takes off a certain expectation and a pressure of yourself. You know, it's just a matter of, like you're saying, being consistent on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
and absolutely good advice. But I want to know, like, if I get an opportunity to speak to somebody who has achieved great things, it's not a secret, but there's absolutely something that you use to tap into greatness. It must be, what is it, a feeling? Is it a sensation? You said you use the anger. How did you put all of this together into world record breaking performances? Obviously, like I think of pain.
Yeah.
Most athletes are afraid of pain now. So the more afraid of pain you are, the slower you run, and those type of limitations. What made you want to go? I mean, you were going into the unknown boldly.
uh, uh, I mean, you don't have great races or good races all the time, but sometimes one or two or three comes along and you have a really great performance. And
Yes.
I just think it's a multitude of many facts that on that moment in time sort of work together for you to be able to achieve that. And most of the time you have control over some, but not always. But
Yes.
for me, I think the biggest advantage for me is I could just disappear into myself. I could really just block out everything else that was happening around me and just focus on hearing my own voice inside me. And I think that helped because I was so in touch with what I was experiencing and what I was feeling. And all, I wouldn't say I wouldn't say I more or less withdrew, but in a way I could really block out everything else. Just concentrate on, if it was a 3K on the track, I could just do that for that next 8 or 9 minutes. But I think that was probably my biggest that was probably my strongest point, where I could just block out everything else.
And you said that you listen to a voice. What is this voice saying?
Sometimes it's not a voice. But on a good day, it's usually a voice that I'd be reaffirming everything that I've been training. What I try and do is remember the really good training sessions I had and how I felt, and sort of reawaken that memory and that muscle memory. And if you concentrate really well, you can do that, and you can almost relive that good experiences you had. And it's
Wow.
almost, so for me it was all about going back into that, and you can only do that when you're really quiet inside yourself and you really find that inner peace. So yeah,
Wow.
that's more or less how it worked for me. It
That's
wasn't
excellent.
side that's going to get me running fast. No, no. Yeah.
That's excellent advice, because I asked that specifically because you usually hear work hard, but working hard could mean breaking down, but I mean, I know there's certainly something in the mind that allows you to tap into it. So thanks for that answer. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take. I see here there's a comment as well from Sibanye Music. He says, or she says, I remember hearing the Stellenbosch crowd roaring when Zola-Budd broke the 5,000-meter world record. The mountains echoed jubilantly.
That was a long time ago. Yeah, that was, yeah, but I still remember it quite vividly. It was such a windy night, and yeah, they almost cancelled the meet because of the wind. But
Wow. Oh, that's amazing. I'm gonna take another question here. This is from Athletic for Amo. They're asking, being involved in coaching and especially in the USA, what do you teach or coach your athletes? What is the most important factor to be a champion, and how many SA athletes do you coach now? I think there's like 4 questions in there.
okay, I think the most important thing that I teach my athletes, if I can call them my athletes, but the athletes that I coach, the most important thing that I teach them is, don't attach your self concept of self-worth your running performance.
Yes.
And stay away from attaching how good you feel about yourself according to how well you're training and how well you're racing. So it's just dangerous. You're just gonna, because all of us have bad days and all of us have bad races and we lose, and you can't go on attaching your image of self to that.
Yes.
So that's one of the most important things I try and teach them, not to do that. And the way you do that is, even when they have bad races, I would always find something good out of the bad race to tell them afterwards. oh, I know that you had a really bad race, or yeah, it was a really tough race out there, but you did that really well. And remember, you did that.
Yes.
So, for me, that's really important for them. And I currently, I'm not coaching at the university anymore. I resigned, but at that time I was coaching, I think 4 or 5 South Africans, maybe 6 South
Oh, yes.
Africans. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. No, that's good. It's good. So you said you've retired from coaching?
I'm going to coach at a local high school now. So
Oh, okay.
I'm studying again, so it takes a lot of my time. So I'm going to coach at the local high school in Conway in South Carolina. So I'm not going to stay away from running. I think I'll always be involved in some way in running.
Absolutely. And running, you still are you still actively running at this point?
Yeah, I'm still trying to actively run. I am actively running. I'm trying to get to there. Yeah, my running went well up to about 2 years ago, and then suddenly I turned 50, and I'm 54. It's really a battle out there. Nothing's easy anymore. Everything's starting to hurt. Um, but I still want to run because that's a time where I feel closest to being okay is when I can be out there and run. And we moved to a new area as well, and there's so many farm roads out here. It reminds me a lot of Bloemfontein, where we lived on the small holding with all the gravel roads. So I really
Yes.
like running here. So that's really nice as well.
Warriors sent a question here. He's asking, or she is asking, will Zola ever release an autobiography? I'm just gonna use the name as they say it. Ever
Yeah.
release an autobiography so she can put her side of the story across in relation to her GB track experience? Will we ever see an autobiography? Is there one, or are you working on one? I want a movie. Autobiography would also be nice.
Very interesting. Yeah, that's a really good question because I'm actually working on one now, and hopefully it will be out there soon. I think people know a lot of things that happen, what they read in the press and what they just assume,
Yes.
and the other thing is your personal life always gets splashed in the newspaper, and not in a very good or
Yeah.
good way
Absolutely.
either. So, um, I think that so I just thought it was time at the age of 53. I'm not going to wait as long as you. You waited till you was 83, but uh, yeah, 54. I think it's a good time. I would love to write a coaching book as well, just about my own experiences, because I've had the privilege of being coached by and being involved with coaching groups over many years. So
Mhm.
I've I've learned so much from other coaches, and I'm just scared all of their knowledge that they taught me and what I learned from them is going to go waste. So because a lot of people who came on my running path, to say that,
Mm,
friends as well, from everybody you learn something, and you have to
absolutely.
and you have the humility to learn from people every day and from your athletes every day. And there's a lot of stuff that I've learned from so many people, and I don't want that to go away and get lost.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's exactly the reason why we decided to have these conversations, because there's so much knowledge. I think there's so many South African icons and legends, and also hearing the voice of some young athletes and professional athletes currently. It's so important to hear, because athletics is a sport is built in such a way where you only see them competing. It's either
Yeah,
you ran well or you ran bad. Nobody knows the in between.
yeah, yeah.
About I mean, life is not just on the track. You
No,
still have to
no,
balance the rest of it as well. So it's
yeah,
very good to get these conversations going, and I think it's something that we're just going to continue to do, because your voice matters in South Africa, and it matters for the up and coming talents and the athletes that will come. Hopefully,
yeah,
we can get them to achieve some of what you've achieved.
yeah. And you learn so much from other people. And I always, this is a story I always tell the athletes in my group. You just need to hang on a bit longer than the person behind you to actually finish the race. So, because I remember, this is a funny story, but I remember my one cross country championships. I was under 16, and we were running into Kai in Cape Town, and I was so tired. I wanted to walk because there was this big hill, and I was in second place, and I thought, oh, the second will be okay. I'm going to walk up the hill. And I yelled at my coach, and I yelled at him, and I said, I'm so tired. And he said, just hang in there. And I was like, ah. And as I looked up, the girl in front of me started walking, and it felt like, oh, I got new energy. And I actually ran in front of her. So sometimes in running, you just have to hang in just a little bit longer than the other person and just have that a little bit more tenacity. And you might not feel like, oh, after the race, I felt, okay, I won this race, but I almost gave up, but I didn't. So I think a lot of junior athletes or freshman athletes coming through, they might have experiences like that and just say, I'm not going to carry on. I'm not, because this is the way I feel in the race. But you just need to hang in one more day or maybe one more training session, and the magic will happen. It happens. You can't force it to appear.
Absolutely. I mean, that's absolutely. So obviously this question is obviously you were born in Bloemfontein, as you mentioned.
Yeah. Yes.
And yeah, that played a part in, you mentioned the running barefoot and so on. What type of, I mean, for you to achieve what you did at that time, you must have had phenomenal coach or support system. What do you think can be done in South African, especially if I want to make this specific to females, young females, as well as, you know, development side of athletics?
Yeah.
What can be done in South Africa to make sure that we've got, I mean, we've got so many stories, Ilana Meyer, yourself. There's many more other stories of long and middle distance runners who have done well. How do we cultivate that culture, you know, of great middle and long distance runners?
I think you have to. My success when I was running while at school and early in the 80s, it was all due to the group I was training in. We had a strong distance group at high school, and there were 5 or 6 girls who could run close to 4:30 for 1500 meters. So, and even under that, I think my best friend Liz came. I think she ran a 4:20 and a 9:14 3K. But so there was a strong group of us, and we had a really good work ethic, and there were a few guys around as well. So the group really helped me through. I mean, they help you through on the days where you don't feel like running, and they help you through on the days when you have bad races, and they help you through the days when you have good races as well. So, and you're there for each other, and I think that's probably the main. I was very motivated and diligent as well, but for me it was the group, because I could always. It wasn't that I had to go and train. It was like, oh, I had to go and visit my friends at training.
Yes.
Almost something like that, and you need that. And I think the group need to be very supportive, and we were very supportive of each other. We were very close.
Who was that one? You know, somebody asked the question of who was one of your fiercest competitors. Like, who was that one person when you know when you step on the line against them, it's gonna be a fight. It's one of those holding on for dear life type of races.
There were a few. There were quite a few. The first goal was in high school. There was a local goal was running really, really well, Stephanie Herbert, and it took me quite a few years to be able to run with her. But she was such an inspiration because she was really good when I started out running. So I wanted to as well as she did. And then Ilana, I raced against Ilana a few times as well. She was a strong competitor. Internationally, the strongest competition I raced against that I felt was really tough was Ingrid Christiansen. And then it's tough on the international scene because there's so many athletes. But it was probably Ilana and Stephanie. So yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna take. I see there's a lot of there's a few more questions here. I'm gonna take one or two more, and then I'm gonna release you. Obviously, you do have things that you need to do as well, but I don't mind keeping you here for long. So another question. Oh, this is a very nice question. It says, can you ever see Olympics being held in South Africa? That's interesting.
That would be amazing if the Olympics can be held in South Africa. Because I mean, Africa is such a big part of the Olympic Games that I think Africa needs a chance to host some of the games. And I believe South Africa is probably the country with the best infrastructure to have something like the Olympic Games. I mean, if we could host the World Soccer Champions, we can
Yes.
host the Olympic Games as well. Yeah. And the other thing is you don't have to have it in one city. You can divide it into different cities,
Yes.
which will make it better for the Olympic Games and cheaper to host as well. I believe.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. I want to see if there's any more questions. We won't be able to take all of them. Let me just look for another one. Okay. Okay, but let me. I think let me wrap it up rather instead of taking any more questions. So, is there anything? Obviously, you've had a lot of people look up to you, and you've motivated so many people. What would you like to tell South Africans? Obviously, this is a South African platform. What would you want to tell the South Africans that have supported you? What message do you have for the up and coming athletes, young athletes in South Africa who are looking to become anywhere near as great as what you have been to athletics in South Africa and the world? What advice would you have for them, and what would you like to just tell them?
Well, that's a tough one because I think everybody probably needs something different piece of advice, but they're not all the same. But I think when I look back at my life and my running career, what I probably needed was a bit more patience. I was always impatient. If I run this well today, I want to do better tomorrow, and so I know even today I have no insight in my own running. As soon as I start running well, I just fall on the track. So I think for the young and upcoming ones is be a bit more patient and have some trust in. It doesn't need to be your coach. It can be your mom or your dad or someone, but you have to have some significant other who really look out for you, not just for your, but for you as a human being. And I think that way you can balance your ambition with your health and your well-being as well. If you have someone out there that can take care of you, and listen to that person, because you need to trust them. Because sometimes we're in situations and we don't know what to do. We don't always know. We don't have the insight to make difficult decisions for ourselves. And it's always nice to have someone else you can use as a springboard and to make tough decisions.
Absolutely. From our side at Backtrack, and thank you for coming on to BackChat. It's really an honor just speaking to you. What we're gonna do is we're gonna probably have to have these conversations again. So we will have to call you back in at some other point. We'll let you rest for a while. But yeah, we really appreciate it. And you've been such a motivation to South Africans, and what you've achieved through running barefoot and running all over the world has been such an inspiration to our culture. I mean, we are taxis. People named taxis after you because certain taxis were so fast. They were called Zola-Budd, and there's songs, and there's the movie which we're waiting for. Somebody's gonna make that movie, and we'll continue to tell stories of how great South Africa is and what we've been able to achieve as South Africans. So thank you very much for what you've done. Just know that it's appreciated whilst you're still here to receive this praises, if I can call them. We do appreciate everything you've done and have achieved in your time. And thank you for using your talent to shine a light on the world.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you for what you are doing for athletics. I think it's important for people like you to be out there, and for people to be involved and promote athletics. And thank you for the work that you're doing.
Absolutely, it's a pleasure from Backtrack side. Yeah, that's what we do, and there's more coming. We just want to continue to cultivate a culture where people love athletics. We love this sport. There's so many amazing stories. And I think the more people can see these stories, more sponsors will come on, and there'll be better development structures and facilities. I mean, South Africa is it's like a gold mine for running talent, and the more we tell these stories and the more we create that love and passion for the sport, we're definitely going to get there.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, to everybody who's watching, thanks a lot for logging on. Really appreciate it. BackChat, we're done for today. And we will be back again on Thursday. So make sure to tune in for BackChat on Thursday. Appreciate it. Thank you, Ms. Zola-Budd Pieterse. Really appreciate your time. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.